Hey, just wanted to come here to remind you that the physical version of my comic Lost Hearts is available to order on my Etsy shop right now. The link is in the description, and you can watch this video to find out more information about it. Okay, bye! Hello everybody, it's your pal Gracious Eva here, and this video is an interesting combination of things that I've wanted to do. It's a result of me wanting to do several different things and then just deciding to do them all in one piece. So I wanted to make some more fan art of Hua-Chang and Jilan from Heaven's Official Blessing, or Hualian fan art, and I also wanted to create more scratch art. Scratch art I have made before in the past for my pride art video, and it's sort of like the same effect you get when you use like a scratch pad. I don't know if you had those like as a kid, but where they had like the rainbow gradient on top of a black filter and you just sort of scratch it away to create the art. And I also wanted to create a new wallpaper for myself. This is the last wallpaper that I made for myself, and I never posted it on here. I forgot to do that, but it was fun to make, but I wanted to do something a little different. So I thought, hey, why not combine all three of those things into one, create myself a new wallpaper while drawing some Hualian fan art and doing it in a scratch art style. So yeah, that was the goal of this video, and it worked out really well, so that's why I'm sharing it with you here. So the first thing I did was pose out the characters. I had to use some 3D posers because I was having a bit of difficulty figuring out where they would lay, but I only did that like roughly. I don't usually exactly follow the 3D poses I make, I usually only do it roughly. And the reason why I only roughly follow the 3D models is because the proportions are very not the same as my proportions are a lot of times. They have gotten more closer over the years because I have gotten more used to using 3D models for posing reference, but it's they're still not quite the same. And yes, I know you can adjust the 3D models to look closer to your style. I'm just too lazy to do that, and honestly that sounds like way more work than it needs than I need. So yeah, and most of the anatomy gets covered up by their robes anyway, but it's still a good idea to have the anatomy underneath laid out so that everything makes a lot more sense and isn't like nothing's floating really weirdly in place. Yeah, I haven't seen Heaven's Official Blessing Season 2 yet because I want to read the book first before I watch the second season, because I want to read all the books and I don't want to get spoiled by anything. Yeah, I've been collecting them. It's been nice. I have the second volume. I don't have the first volume because I read it online, but I'll probably get the second volume or the first volume when I have all the other volumes collected, and I just have them. I've also been collecting the volumes for Grand Master of Demonic Cultivation, or as most of you probably know it as, Maudu Zushi. As you can see here, real quick back to the artwork. I was having a bit of difficulty drawing Jilan's hair, so I was trying a technique I did before in another artwork where I sort of lay the shape out by creating a layer, adding the outline effect to it, which is something you can do in Clip Studio Paint, and then I laid it out and then I sketched over what I had laid out. This helped a lot because I was having a really hard time figuring out how to make Jilan's hair flow, because besides from their faces, it is like a secondary focal point of the artwork, so I wanted it to look nice. And then the robes were fairly easy because most of their bodies are getting covered up by each other. I didn't have to focus too much on the details, which was very nice. I like when I don't have to focus too much on the details, even though they have like not really detailed outfits at all. Like drawing these guys compared to drawing a Genshin character, night and day. Yeah, I was working on the faces here. I always like drawing Hua-Chang's eye the same way I'll draw characters like my character Blank, or how I draw Kaya's eyes, where it's sort of like this angular type of shape. I just think it suits him, and Yeah, I gave him the more elfish ear that he has in the manga because I love that. And I love when people draw Hwa-Chang with the elvish ear. I also love when people draw Hwa-Chang with the grayish skin because that makes sense. He's a ghost. He's dead. He should have more grayish skin. It makes a lot of sense. And not much of Hwa-Chang's hair gets shown, unfortunately, which is sad, but that's okay. And of course the eye patch. It's so funny drawing Hwa-Chang because it feels a lot like drawing Kaya sometimes. With the eye patch, similar eye patch, the bangs are kind of similar. I give them the same hair. I forgot to give him the fang in this one. It's the only thing. I believe I forgot to give him the fang, which it's like I like when people draw Hwa-Chang with the fang because manga Hwa-Chang has that and it looks so cool, and I forgot it here. That's okay though, it does kind of give the piece a more of a softer feel anyway. And then once I was done with sketching, I put the whole thing in blue, and then I put black behind it because that's what the background's going to be, and then I started outlining it in white first. The last time I did this, I had the gradient underneath the black, and then I would erase the black. Sorry for the bump. I would erase the black where the outlines would be, but I decided to do it a little differently this time because doing it that way is a little tricky because then you can't manipulate the lines as well because they're not lines, you're just erasing the black, so it's kind of all on one singular layer. So for this one I decided it to be a little I decided to adjust it and instead do the line art first just in white and then actually clip the gradient onto the lines. This gave the same effect in the end, but also I could still have multiple layers. I could have one layer for Xielan, one layer for Hwa-Chang, another one for their faces, another one for the background, all of that, and that made things look a lot, it made the process of it anyway a little more smoother. I also tried making the lines more scratchier because scratch art can, scratch art, scratchy. I also just like scratchy lines in general. I've been doing that a lot recently in my art. I've also been experimenting a lot with my hatching shading. I've been adding a lot more hatching into my artwork with my more recent artworks that I haven't shown on here yet, but I will eventually. Yeah, sometimes these chill speed paint videos can be a little hard to get out because I have bigger videos that I need to get out, but then these ones also I mainly make these to show my artwork onto here. It's sort of like when I post it on Instagram, but with a few extra steps, we'll say. And there's actually another reason why I decided to do this method the way that I did with the different layers, which you will see in a moment. But yeah, with Hwa-Chang's eye here, I kind of wish that I did this a little later because I discovered different things that I like to do in my art that I felt like could have worked well here. I suppose I could easily fix it before I post this video. You'll know if I do. You will know if I do. But one of the things that I've been doing lately in my art is like these tear duct, like an indication of where the tear duct would be directly in the line art itself. I used to do that just in my shading, but I've been doing that more in my line art as well, especially if the face is up close. If it's farther away, I don't usually bother, but if it's like a lot closer, then it's I usually try to do that. And like I said, I've also been doing a lot of hatching shading, which I did here as well. Even though I kind of wish I did a little more hatching shading. At the same time, I feel like it kind of works not to have done that because, well, you'll see in a minute the way I decided to shade the piece. I feel like it would have obstructed like the more flowy nature of the way I shaded the piece later on. But I did add the hatching in quite a few places. And now you'll see that this is the part where I am sort of shading in the the highlights, I guess. It's less of shading and more like highlighting. But I decided to add in the highlights with my watercolor brush. I say my watercolor brush, it's the default brush in Clip Studio, but I used the watercolor brush not only to add highlights, but I also added white to Zealand's robes, because his robes are white, and also it makes for a bit of more contrast. And yeah, I'm basically just adding highlights the way I normally would in a piece, just without any base color clip to it, so you gotta be a little more careful. And then I also used a harder brush for a bit more intense highlights. So yeah, as you can see, like these the rims here, basically in places that I would normally put my shading, is where I sort of used this harder brush. And then I also decided to blend it out so it would look a little softer. I ended up really liking how that looked, so I also did it with Hua Chung's hair. And yeah, I don't have too much to say about the shading other than I really wanted to try to make it like very painterly and flowy, and I know that doesn't make much sense for a scratch art piece. I know it doesn't. Hear me out. It doesn't make sense. I know it doesn't make sense, but I wanted to do it anyway because it makes sense for these guys. It makes sense for the boys. It makes sense for my boys. And yeah, I don't have too much, like I said, I don't have too much else to say about the shading. You can tell these aren't scripted at all. I don't usually script my chill speed paint videos because I need to save my brain cells for when I do my longer videos, my more bigger videos, like videos where the artwork I made are specifically for videos. I need to save my brain cells for scripting in those, and then I just do whatever, I just say whatever I want in these chill spoon paint videos. But yeah, at this point I was done with shading the boys, and now I'm onto the background. I wanted the background to have a moon. There's a lot of moon imagery in the series, I've noticed, but yeah, there's a moon in there. I also experimented with adding this textured brush, which is called the Chunky Monkey brush, I believe, which I've used before in other pieces. It's not one of my go-to brushes when it comes to a piece, but I do like to use it when I want to add a little bit of texture. And I also used it to add like texture to these, or to add leaves to these trees. The leaves are the texture. They are the texture in this piece. And of course, because I'm lazy, I used the cherry petal brush for the flowing leaves in the background, which I had hand drawn in the sketch, but then I decided no, we're not doing that. But I did hand draw the butterflies. A lot of butterflies here. Got our silver butterflies, which yeah, makes sense that they're white right now, but they won't be white soon. And then because I thought the piece felt a little inty, I decided to add these like little flowing streaks that kind of look like the wind blowing. I guess, I'm not sure, but I do like how they turned out. So yeah, just to make the piece feel a little less empty. And yeah, at this point I was deciding what gradient I wanted to use. I looked to my Sunset Colors palette to try and figure out a nice gradient. At first I was just drawing the gradient before clipping it to the layer, but I was having a bit of difficulty with this because I wanted the focal point to still be their face. So I wanted the lighter color to be towards their face, and then the darker colors to be sort of all around them. And so here I finally figured that out, and I ended up using two palettes because I couldn't decide which palette I wanted to use. I used this palette, my purple to orange to yellow palette, which is the same one I use for my outro, and then like the more desaturated one that I use for my backgrounds in some of my videos. I then also, the second one that I used is a more pinker sunset. Well, it's technically sunset. I also use it for night scenes, but a more like blue to purple to pink palette that I use. And then once I figured out the colors, I also decided to add glow to parts where I felt like needed more shine. So this was their hair, their eyes, and the butterflies. And I really like this piece. I also added some bounce light to them where the light would be hitting them. I've been trying to remember to do that in my piece, and it's funny that I remember to do that here in a scratch art piece. That's not fully rendered how I normally do. And then, yeah, I decided to add more flowy shapes because I still felt like if the piece felt a little empty. Not sure if those were really necessary. I might have overdone it there. But I did also add these watercolor splash effects, which I do love. I love adding that. And sparkles. It sparkles. But yeah, at this point, I'm just messing around with the foreground, but it was at this point that I was pretty much done. This was so fun to work on. Like I said, there's two versions of this with two different palettes because I couldn't decide which one I liked better. So yeah, let me know how you feel about this piece, and if you've seen season 2, let me know how you feel about it. No spoilers. I'm still trying to read the novel, and yeah, also no spoilers for the novels, please. Even though I've already been spoiled quite a bit. No more spoilers, I'd like. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this. This one was a little more rambly than normal, but I just really liked how this piece turned out, and I wanted to share it with you all. If you also want this as a wallpaper, I might sell it as a digital print for my Etsy shop. I'm just not sure about the whole selling fan art on Etsy thing, if that's allowed. If it is allowed, then I'll definitely do that. I can sell it as a digital print or a mouse pad. I could do a mouse pad. This would be a really nice mouse pad, or just a normal physical print. If not, then you know, then I can't do that. But maybe I can like share it in a different place so you can use it for a wallpaper if you would like. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Speaking of my Etsy shop, if you want to check that out, I am selling my physical version of my webcomic Lost Hearts over there. You can buy that. You can also check out my other stuff on Etsy. I sell prints and mugs and mouse pads too. That's just why I mentioned that. And I also sell, I'll hopefully be selling some more stuff on there too. Some interesting, maybe some clothing items. I also have my webcomics on Webtoon and my artworks on Instagram. This probably isn't on there yet because I've been very behind on my posting schedule on Instagram. So if this is out, or by the time you watch this and it's on Instagram, then great. If not, I'm sorry. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me for this video. I will see you all in the next video. Bye.